Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of Warp Factor 10 here on the Arena Productions. I'm your host Expat along with my co-host Burley, who is on the bridge with me again for this episode where we are talking about, of course, Ad Astra per Aspera, of course, to the stars through hardship. So yeah, Burley, before we get into this, I just want to let everybody know, obviously, like all of these recap and review episodes here, on Warp Factor 10 here on the Arena Productions. It is going to be spoiler filled. So this is your spoiler warning now. If you have not watched season 2, episode 2 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, please go and watch it on Paramount Plus and then come back and enjoy this episode, because Burley and I are going to be throwing spoilers everywhere throughout this episode. So that's your spoiler warning. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into this amazing episode. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start it up. But the first image, Burley, here we get is obviously of Una as a child on the Voltara Nebula, growing up as an Illyrian. And obviously her and her family, they have to hide the fact that they are genetically engineered, of course, when it comes to Illyrians. Yeah, I mean, we get to see, in the very beginning here, basically, that they're basically living, under persecution and living in fear, for the fact that just for the fact that they're Illyrians, and that they have different types of customs within their culture. What did you think of this?
I like this. It just it does a lot of at the beginning here. Show don't tell. It shows you. They don't overly explain it. They just give you enough here at the beginning just to be like, yeah. And then as we go through the rest of this episode, you'll learn more and you go back to this, which I liked.
And so we see Una here, of course, and obviously San Francisco, my home city. The home of Starfleet Academy, the home of Starfleet headquarters. So anyway, but Una is not at the Academy at the moment. She's not at headquarters. She is in basically a prison brig. So waiting for her trial and all. And here is an image of Captain Patel. Obviously, she is kind of intimate with Captain Pike. I think it's easy to say, but she is going to be the prosecutor here, along with the other Vulcan admiral, and we'll be talking about them later in the episode. But she's trying to tell her to take this plea deal to keep herself out of prison, but she would be dishonorably discharged, and but she would be able to remain a Federation citizen and all. And so, and this guy next to her here, her so-called counsel, who basically works for Captain Patel. I mean, it's like he's like, he didn't really, understand what was really going on, in a sense, because she's like, don't you think we should sidebar this and talk about it on the side? And then Patel is like, yeah, go ahead and do that. But then Una's like, how could I do that with him when he works for you? So what'd you think of that?
Oh yeah, I love this. This guy was way out of his league, and just throwing him into this situation. And everything. He's just wanting to be like, Captain, what do I do? Turn to his captain, be like, what do I tell her to do?
Right.
I'm an idiot. Just tell me what I got.
Right. And then Burley, I have to admit, I mean, Yetide Badaki, I mean, playing Nira here, the defense counsel. I mean, she was amazing in this. I think in this episode, she should be up for an Emmy. I mean, with the performance she gave here, it was just amazing. I mean, just how she has so much contempt for the Federation. Of course, when Pike goes to visit her, of course, I have those images up on the sneak peek photo video that I have up. Yeah, I mean, she just gives it to him, and it's like, she's not my friend. Please leave. It's like she has a lot of resentment towards the Federation and towards Una in a way for how Una basically abandoned them. So what did you think of her emotional state here at the beginning when she was talking with Pike?
Oh, I really like this, and like that. And I'm just gonna say the one thing from with Pike sitting there in that chair waiting. I love that, sir. She could be here a while. I got nowhere else to be. I'm just gonna sit here. He's got the oxygen mask and all that on. Just sitting there waiting. Like, that was so great. And then when he gets the face to face with her, and just the back and forth between both of them.
Yeah.
And he's like, you could show it shows what level what Pike is willing to do just to go for Una.
Yeah, and then of course in this image, Neera, she meets with Una, and of course she's basically telling her, "I'm doing this for Illyrians.
Yeah,
I'm doing this because of how the Federation treated us." And I really like that part. She just showing that anger inside of her. And then of course Patel comes up to Pike as he's cooking again, obviously, and she's like, "She didn't take the plea deal," and he's like, "Good." Love that part. And then she's like, you know how hard it was for me to get this, and now the judge advocate general, he's all over the case and everything. They're all over the case, and now she's probably going to get like 20 years, and it's like, but the law is wrong, So I love this part. What do you think of that?
I loved it, just like you. Pike's just sitting there chopping away, cooking, having fun. She is just angry as all hell coming in, and he's like, "Yeah, what you think we were just gonna sit there and take it?"
Yep. And obviously, of course, in this image here, they're of course bringing the hammer down, and obviously they're asking for 20 years in a Federation penal colony. And so. And Neera, she knew they were going to do that and all, but she's like, "Hey, let's fight. It's good that you turned them down." And then the situation here with La'an, as she comes in, she's obviously she's obviously worried for Una, but she's starting to blame herself, because as we find out here in this episode, she had made personal logs after she found out that Una was Illyrian, and because of the fact that she was angry when she made these personal logs, she's thinking that somebody within Starfleet looked into those personal logs and was trying to use it for their own benefit. And and the exchange here with Neera, I thought was really cool. And Neera, she knows that she, of all people, basically understands the genetic modification story, because obviously her distant relative was Khan Noonien Singh. So of all people, and the eugenics wars and everything. So so I thought that was cool. And then this scene here with Patel and Pike, Patel's talking to him, how did you first meet Una? How did you first meet her? And it was really cool. And then it's like, when did you find out that she was Illyrian? And basically just demanding that he do not take the stand, because if he takes a stand, then it's going to be all about him. Yeah, what'd you think of that?
Oh, I like that, because she goes at first being like, "Can I sit with you?" And he's like, "Yeah, you can."
Yeah,
I'm kind of prepping here to take the stand, and she's giving him a taste of, "Hey, you go on the stand. This is what it's going to be like, and it's not going to be all sunshine and roses." I did like that. Yeah.
She gave it to him, and he's like, "Hey, you made your point." Yes, but this was the part where Pike was just, he was smiling because he was talking about how he had met her through speech at the academy, and then of course Patel says, no big speeches today. Yeah. And then here with Spock and the prosecuting attorney here, the other Vulcan, who supposedly was a colleague of Spock's father, Sarek. He's like, he gets up and M'Benga's like, you can tell from Vulcan's body language, and stuff like that he hates this guy. Yeah.
Oh, that was great. And Spock just comes up and he's like, "I am sorry for that outburst and all that." And
we won't say anything. Yeah.
yeah, they're both looking at me like, "What outburst?"
Yeah.
You literally just sit there like nod, talk.
Yeah.
Now, this next image here, this was probably my favorite part of the entire episode. I mean, I'm really starting to admire Uhura and the actress that plays her as well. She's doing an amazing job. Lon comes up and basically, okay, I need every reference to Una Chin Riley, number one, throughout all the Starfleet, the Starship, communications, and I need personal logs from her. And then she's like, with all due respect, Starfleet regulations, we cannot, give personal log information. Those are sealed, and only, Starfleet Command can open those personal logs. So I cannot do that for you. And you probably don't want to do this because, you'll get in trouble. And number one would not want that for you. And so she's like, you're going to have to find another way. So she's basically just stood her ground and said no. Any other lowly ensign probably would have said, okay. But she stood her ground and just straight up to Lon said no. And I loved that. What did you think of it?
I like that. Like, I agree with you that this was one. I don't know if this was my favorite moment. It was one of the best moments of the episode. But it just her standing her ground and reminding her, like, I know you're trying to help, but if you doing this could do more harm than good.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the straight up back and forth between them. I mean, just so tense and all. And then, of course, we get the charges read and all. And obviously we have, Pike and the others on the Enterprise watching the proceedings, from the ship. And then Neera, I think this is getting towards the part where, yes, she is interrogating Admiral April. And boy, oh boy, does she just give it to April. I mean, let's say, can you tell me what General Order 1 is, which now you in the Federation call the Prime Directive? And then she just basically gives it to him. In 2246, when you were captain of the Enterprise, you alerted this pre-warp society of this meteor shower or something that was going to destroy the planet. In 2248, you did this. And I mean, just all these instances of where he just, disregarded the Prime Directive, and so it's like when it's the captain's discretion, the law can be changed and all. I just loved how she ripped into him and was basically not only ripping him, but just ripping the Federation. I mean, it was great. What did you think of this?
It was just great. And this, now that we're into this section of the episode, this really does a really well done courtroom drama.
Yes.
Like they really, I'm guessing they really studied some courtroom shows and good courtroom dramas, and really, I think they did a really good job. I love that, just her hammering, and the Federation's like, oh no, we can't let the Admiral look like an idiot here, and this looks bad on us. So they're trying every which way to stop this. Even get the testimony stricken out, because Starfleet knows that if this testimony goes on the record, it does not look good for them. So
especially April, especially Admiral April. Yeah, I just have to say, hats off to Dana Horgan, the writer of this episode. Just an amazing bit of writing here. For, like you said, this courtroom drama and all. It was amazing. So we move on, and then of course Admiral April, he's in the quarters with Pike, and it's funny. It's like I didn't get a chance to talk about Una and like in 2248, the commendations and all, and the gallantry and everything. I couldn't say that, and Pike's like offering him the drink there, and then he just walks away, and so then Pike just takes the drink and pours it into his drink and just downs all of it. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. That was a pretty interesting moment. Yeah, as he's walking away there. Just like, he just like fills up the other drink. And then obviously Una gets on Nira for, basically, just ripping April and ripping the Federation and all. But then they get into, the character, witnesses, of course, La'an. And then, of course, Patel talks about, Khan Noonien Singh. And yes, I am related to him. And then, of course, Spock and Mabenga, which were really cool testimonies and all. And but yeah, I mean, I just love the part where Spock is like and they played it up during the previews for the episode too. It's like, yes, I did have a feeling she was hiding something. And they're like, what was she hiding? Her affinity for Gilbert and Sullivan musicals.
Oh yeah, that I was like, okay.
It's like, come on, man, It's like, and then everybody was kind of like cracking up. Even Patel, the the prosecutor, she was like cracking up too. So I mean, Spock is like
that
becoming.
Other Vulcan he didn't crack up though.
Well, no, his eyebrow moved up like like usual Vulcans do. When they think something is a little bit fascinating. But I mean, yeah, it's like Spock is becoming like the comedic one-liner, in this season so far. But anyway. So another exchange between Nira and La'an here. Basically, she's telling her, you're not responsible for, basically, when it comes to the personal log, it's like it takes 6 months for them to, to petition and then to be able to open up any personal logs. So they didn't have enough time to do that for her. And so she was relieved, and she's like saying, why do I feel like I just got hit by a shuttle? It's like, and she's like, Nira's like, I'll take that as a compliment as she's walking out. But anyway. So, so we move on here. And then, of course, La'an takes the stand, or not La'an, I'm sorry. Una takes a stand, and she's basically talking about, the Illyrians and how they were persecuted and discriminated against. And then here's the one here. I was going to go to that image there with the Vulcan prosecutor, and he's turning it all on Pike. He's like, how long, when was it that you told Captain Pike that you were an Illyrian? So, like he was saying, this emotional, testimony, it's irrelevant, but the facts and the law are relevant here. And so then everybody thinks, oh, it's over. He's got him. Oh, and then Nira gets the book, gets the Starfleet Code of Conduct and Code 8514, Burley. That was the savior. Code 8514. Oh, yeah. I mean, this part of the episode was so awesome. I mean, basically, Code 8514 is describing, those in distress and seeking asylum. They can, come to the Federation and get asylum, and then of course a Starfleet captain can offer that asylum, which basically Pike did.
Yeah,
and I mean, just her way of describing this to the court and to the councils. I mean, it was just amazing. What were your thoughts on all this?
I really like this because they also, because you're trying to figure out who reported her, and she admits she reported herself.
She reported herself,
and
right.
She studied, and her studying that code of conduct there and just using that so well, and then like you can even see it on Pike's face and going, oh, like on everyone's face, and then it was so good. Even the one woman prosecutor, as she's reading it, you can see her as she's starting to go through. She's starting to break out that smile.
Captain Patel,
she's breaking out that smile. It was such a great way, because I was wondering, because once they started turning it on Pike, I'm like, oh no, where are we going to go with this? Like, they're going to have to get out of it.
Yeah,
but how?
Yeah. And obviously, she wins the case and she's acquitted, and of course she has been granted asylum, and of course she gets to go back to being number one on the Enterprise, and yeah, it was cool. Like she comes back on, and then of course she thanks, Nira, and then then Pike gives her the big hug and everything, and then and then the pat on the arm afterwards. It's like, welcome back, number one. So, but yeah, I mean, this episode really, this is the type of episode I love about Star Trek, because it shows us that we have lots of situations in our own world and in our own time right here and now that even in the future there are instances like this. So like, for example, in our society and in our world today, Burley, with the LGBT community, I mean, having to live a life of secrecy, to hide from persecution. I mean, for me, living here in Japan, actually the Korean community, which is a very big community here in Japan, they've had to live in hiding for years, because if they used their Korean names, for example, they would be discriminated against in certain instances here in Japan. So they have to take Japanese names to hide themselves, So, I mean, so how this shows us how we should be searching for our better angels, and to think about the problems that we have within our own society here and now. I mean, this is just one of the best episodes that shows that, particularly when it comes to discrimination and persecution. I think it's probably the best episode that I've seen of Star Trek in a very long time. And of all of the Strange New Worlds episodes for me, this is number one of the 2 seasons so far. This is my favorite episode. So for me, it's a 10 out of 10. What about for you?
This is definitely up there. I gotta sit and think if this is my number one, but this is easily in the top 5. Like this goes for. It doesn't go for action. This goes for good writing, good drama, and all that. The stuff you want, and good character moments, and showing the stuff with Star Trek that I like, that you can, things in the future, people can get over and work things together, depending doesn't matter what race you are, and all that. I really like that, and this was this was better than the opener for season 2. I still like the opener for season 2.
Yeah,
I would say this is either. I would say this is like, I could give this a 10. I just don't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I just don't know if this is my number one for Strange New Worlds yet, because there was some really good episodes in season 1.
Of course.
And this is hard. It's not like one of the other shows where it's like, I could just put this number 1 easily.
Ad astra per aspera, Burley. To the stars through hardship. So I mean, which was the motto before the Federation became the Federation. And and I mean, one more thing about this episode, it shows that Starfleet is not perfect. I mean, Starfleet has its flaws, and it shows it, it's in the limelight in this episode, basically. But they have the ability to change, and like Nira said at the end of the episode there, it's a start. As she's about to beam out, she's like saying to them, I am not a big fan of Starfleet, as you know, but as I see this crew here, that serves with under an Illyrian commander, it's something that is a step in the right direction, and it's a step forward. So really, really enjoyed the episode. It was really awesome. So next week, of course, we've got tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. So next week's episode is going to be La'an and Kirk, James T. Kirk. So Paul Wesley is going to be a guest star next week as they go back to the 21st century, supposedly. So we're really excited and looking forward to to reviewing that episode for you all. And if you liked this episode, please be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell for when we drop a new episode of Warp Factor 10 or any of our other content here on the Arena Productions. And let us know in the comments what you thought of this episode. What were the bright spots for you? What were the points of the episode that you enjoyed the most? Let us know in the comments. We'd really like to hear from you all. So thank you so much. And we're looking forward to the next episode. So I've been your host, Expat, along with my co-host, Burley. Live long and prosper, and we'll catch you in the next one. So take care, everyone. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.